Hello, everybody, and welcome into the Apples and Ginos Fantasy Hockey Podcast. My name is Nate Gruniblink. I'm the creator of Apples and Ginos, originator of the Zero G draft strategy, and contributor to Yahoo Fantasy. In this podcast, Blake and I are going to give you all the best streamers and ad options for next week so you can start planning early. Let's hit it. Now, of course, I have your friend and my best friend, Blake Creamer, here with me. Blake, how are we feeling tonight?
Feeling all right, my man. Yeah, it was a great day. I love these afternoon hockey games. We talked about it in one of our episodes last week, and it happened again, and I got to watch some of these games. In fact, more. I was having a real sports day today, just flipping back and forth. I got Sportsnet now, so I had like picture in picture. So you got three games going on. Yeah, it was awesome, man. So I had a great day today. I had an awesome morning fantasy wise, and then the last few games really just sucked the wind out of me here. So yeah, I'm a little salty, but I don't know. How are you doing, my man?
I'm doing all right. I just came back from my beer league hockey game where I was a John Klingberg level defensive liability this week, but we still got the dub in the shootout, so we'll take that and we'll take notes back for next week.
Beautiful. At least you have your teeth, so that's nice.
This is true. I'm keeping the cage, that's for sure. Well, Blake, why don't you get us started here? Why don't you lead in with some newsies?
Newsies! All right, yeah, we got some newsies. I'm going to rush through these because there's a ton of news and there's a ton of games, all right? Let's get to biz. First, I want to talk about the Pittsburgh Penguins. Some injury news, Brian Rust and Rickard Rakell. Rakell! Yeah, he's out for a little bit. He's just put on LTIR, I think, so he's out longer term. And Brian Rust missed the game today with a lower body injury. Rakell has an upper body injury. So yeah, some injury stuff going on there in Pittsburgh. And so what do? We thought maybe Riley Smith might get some, good power play deployment. And they just went off. I don't know what the coach was doing there in Pittsburgh, but they ended up throwing out, splitting the power plays basically. So power play one ended up being Crosby, Gensel, Carlson, Hinestrosa, and some other guy with the Z for the first letter. I don't even know. Zohorna? I don't know. And then Carter, Letang, Malkin, Nylander, and Smith were on the second power play. So yeah, it didn't exactly work out, but I mean, for fantasy purposes, we need to keep an eye on that. And I think Riley Smith would be the beneficiary of these guys going down, but it didn't really play out that way today. So just keep an eye on that. In other news, Sam Girard, Colorado Avalanche, he entered the player assistance program. So hopefully, he gets the help he needs and it gets back healthy soon. So that's rough news for him, but good as well that he's taking care of his mental health. In the game today, Washington and Edmonton, TJ Oshie got leveled accidentally by Matthias Ekholm just at the blue line there. It was accidental contact. Oshie was down on the ice for a little bit. He was able to get off under his own power, but he's not traveling with the team for their upcoming road trip. He's got an upper body injury, all right? Super specific. Looked like his head, all right? He bonked his head. How about Big Vasi? Vasilevsky's back, and what the hell happened in this game? Oh my God. He got a big dub, 8-2 win over the Hurricanes. This is a little bit scary actually with Tampa Bay because they were able to hold down the fort with a winning record in this guy's absence, and now they're a freaking wagon. I mean, Kucherov got 6 points tonight. Damn. So that's for Vasi owners, congratulations to you. I mean, this could be a nice little run for you. Moving on, I want to talk about Big Kuzi. He's a healthy scratch there in Vancouver. That's a little. I'm not happy about this.
That I have to say that is the lowest voice you've ever used when talking about Andrei Kuzmenko.
Yeah, I don't want to draw too much attention to it. I'm changing his name to Bench Kuzi. Bench Kuzi. But yeah, he'll be back. All right. Rest up, King. I think, he's busy carrying the team. He's tired. He needs a break. All right. That's what's happening there. Beautiful head of hair. You guys know the drill. Let's talk about Winnipeg. Gabe Vilardi, the Vilardi party. He's close to returning, shed his non-contact jersey in a recent practice. Could be, he didn't play tonight, but could be a game time decision next game. So keep an eye on that. And then Nate's favorite player, the aforementioned Klingon, John Klingberg. They put him on LTIR, the Toronto Maple Leafs did. So he's going to be out until at least December 12th. Could need surgery. They're still trying to figure out what options there, but obviously that's horrible news for John Klingberg. Shout out to him. Hopefully he gets better. Great news for Morgan Riley owners. We have no question who's the power play one king there. Although they got, they played down to their competition today as usual. I'm sorry, Nate, about that. That's rough. Let's keep going. We got to talk about Jonas Korpisalo. He's battling an injury, so Mads Sogard was recalled there in Ottawa. So Anton Forsberg's the goalie to own for now. I mean, if you want to own a goalie in Ottawa, they are not playing well. They lost again tonight to the New York Islanders. Okay, Nate, I know this is a bit of a sore spot for you. So Antti Ranta came back after injury and proceeded to get shelled by Tampa Bay. And Rod Brind'Amour, interesting decision to leave Ranta in net for all 8 goals. Nate, do you have a thought on this?
I have a lot of thoughts on this. So, like, up till now, we've talked about how Rod Brind'Amour is a pain in the butt for all of our fantasy goodness that we want to see. Like, why isn't Svechnikov on the top power play? It's RBA doing his thing again. But now it's personal, all right? Because I picked up Ranta for this week in Kikuffle, and I was like, oh, awesome. I'm going to get a couple starts out of Ranta, and, he's going to get me a couple wins. They upped the value for wins in Kikuffle this year. That's going to help me out this week. But then RBA does this, and Ranta faces 14 shots and allows more goals than he saves. And he just leaves them in. He just leaves them in the whole game. He gets 8 goals against and makes 6 saves in this game. And Rod Brind'Amour the whole time is like, nah, this is fine. This is fine. He said after the game, he's like, yeah, in retrospect, I probably should have pulled him after the 5th goal. And then he still left him in for 3 more goals after that. What is going on? Why is this happening? Why is this happening to me specifically?
Nate,
Anyway,
this guy's amped. Oh my God, what's happening here? This Rod Brind'Amour, look what you're doing to Nate. I mean, he doesn't give a damn about our fantasy teams. That's clear. And now he was being passive aggressive before. Now he's being aggressive. All right, we don't appreciate that, Rod. All right, go do some sit-ups, Nate. I'll tell him, go dye your hair, Rod. All right, that's what we do. All right. That's horrible, though. You had him. He streamed in for a couple and got smoked. So that's no good. That's no bueno. It could be Kochetkov time, everyone. Let's.
It could be.
That. All right. Let's move on. We're talking about the Seattle Kraken. Philip Grubauer wasn't able to finish the game. His last game there against the Flames. Joey Decord came in and finished that game. And they still haven't provided an update on Grubauer. So we don't know what's happening there, but they called up Chris Driedger. So yeah, just keep an eye on Grubauer's status. I think, if he's healthy, he's going to be the number 1 there, I believe. But yeah, who knows what they do in Seattle there. Moving on, Nico Hischier for the Devils. Obviously didn't play today, but he is practicing. He's just not quite game ready. So Dawson Mercer is going to continue to get some run in his stead, but that really hasn't been blowing the doors down. But still, it's a valuable streamer while Hischier is out. And then Timo Meier. It is not Timo time yet. This is terrible. They called it a minor injury, but this guy's missed 4 straight games. So, we don't have a lot of information there. It'd be nice if the team sort of updated us on what the hell's going on. But Meier is still out, so just keep an eye on his status game to game. A couple more things here, then we'll get into the streaming section. Taylor Hall of the Chicago Blackhawks out for the season. Oh, man, this is not cool. Just a disastrous first season there in Chicago for Taylor Hall. Tore his ACL. He's got surgery on his knee now. So, it's rough. I think the big beneficiary there, I mean, if there is one, is Philip Kurashev. He's getting some run on the top line with Connor Bedard, and he looked pretty good. I mean, I watched him today. He was out there with him in overtime as well. I think when Korchinski scored, it was Bedard, Korchinski, and Kurashev. So he's getting some decent deployment. Might be worth the stream if Chicago has a decent schedule. But yeah, rough news for Taylor Hall. Reminds me of when there was a season with the Canucks where Bure, like 13 games in, blew his ACL and he was done for the season after 13 games. Oh God, it's PTSD. Basically, I'm just reliving it in my head. And I'm going to have to move on before I start crying. And I don't want to do that. All right. Let's talk about Brent Burns. He's back on power play 1 there in Carolina, but obviously they got cooked 8-2. Just something to monitor, right? Jacob Slavin's been getting some reps there as well. And Tony DeAngelo's been getting healthy scratched because he's a ding dong, and that's confirmed. So yeah, just keep an eye on Brent Burns. We want to, he should be more valuable if he's getting power play 1. Burns has had a down season so far, but I mean, he's still a shot monster. I mean, not to the levels that he's used to, but he's still doing stuff and he's still very valuable in fantasy. And then lastly, let's talk about with Barrett Hayton's injury in Arizona. Logan Cooley has moved up to the top line there with Keller and Schmaltz. So that's something to monitor as well. Cooley's definitely worth an ad if he's getting that deployment. I mean, I think, Nate, we can agree. We'd like to see some more shots from this guy, but he's line 1, power play 1 now with guys that can do stuff, right? Keller and Schmaltz. So hopefully that's something that kind of continues moving forward so we can really get a look at what Cooley can bring to the table. But that's it for the newsies. Nate, we got to get into some streaming. We got some crazy stuff going on.
All right. Yeah, let's talk about this schedule upcoming. So for next week, on Monday, we got 6 games, Tuesday, 10 games, Wednesday, 3 games, Thursday, 14 games, Friday, just 2 games, Saturday, 13 games, and Sunday, 5 games. So this is at least a little bit more of a conventional streaming schedule, right? Not something we were able to say lately, for sure, especially this past week with 2 nights where we had nothing. But in total, this is 53 games played on the week, which is pretty normal in the grand scheme of things, somewhere around average here. Then we have 3 teams that have a Monday, Tuesday back-to-back to open the week that you should probably be able to get some players in for. Tuesday, 10-game schedule. You might have some spots open, so you might be able to open up the week with a back-to-back and get a head start on your opponent with some players from either Florida, Tampa Bay, or Vegas. So check your schedules Monday, Tuesday for that. And then there are 3 teams that have Monday and Wednesday off nights to open the week. Those are Columbus, New York Rangers, and the Washington Capitals. Then we also have a couple of teams that have Friday, Sunday off nights to end the week. That's Columbus and San Jose. And if you heard me say Columbus twice, that's absolutely correct because Columbus has a perfect schedule next week. They play on all the off nights, 4 games, 4 off nights, which is obviously making their players very valuable for your fantasy streaming success. So in total, not an overabundance of options, but at least we do have options this week. Unlike earlier this week, I don't know about you, Blake, but I kept checking my rosters through basically through the last 4 days here, and I was like, I can make this move, but I mean, it gets me 1 game.
Yeah.
And I may as well just hold it till Sunday and see if I need it or not at that point. So, at least this week, we've got some moves we can make that are actually going to make a difference in our lineups. All right. Are you up for some worse teams to stream, Mr. Blake Creamer?
Let's do it, my guy. We got we got a couple teams that are not so great here to stream from, and the first team we're looking at with only 2 games this week is the Edmonton Oilers, and they have 0 off nights, right? So the good thing is that the Oilers don't have a ton of streamers anyway. So in terms of drops, like I think Matthias Ekholm for sure is someone you can probably just kick to the curb. Darnell Nurse, where are you at with that, Nate? Because we talked about Darnell Nurse I think last week too, and you said you were holding him for a similar schedule, but now that we've got 2 games and 0 off nights, what do you think about Darnell Nurse?
Yeah, I mean, it's not been pretty for Nurse. 0 points his last 5 games. I think this is updated, so I think that takes into account I'm going to double check because the Oilers did put up 5 on the Capitals here tonight. Nurse got 0 points there, so 0 points his last 5 games, 23.5 average time on ice, so he's definitely still doing that. The underlying numbers are not good, which is kind of surprising. He's got just 5 points on the season now, 21-point pace on the season. It's not been good lately for Darnell Nurse, but he is still hitting and blocking and doing all those peripheral things that we love so much. So, if it's a bangers cats, there's no question you're keeping Darnell Nurse in my mind. If it's a points league, it's a little bit more of a question. Like, if there's something out there that's really going to make a difference, if Nurse is truly the last guy on your roster, you don't have anybody else you want to move, and, somebody that we're going to talk about, like a Kirill Marchenko, or maybe like Boone Jenner happens to be out there in your league. Maybe you're in a 10-team league, 8-team league. There are definitely situations in which I'm considering getting rid of Darnell Nurse this week.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely points league. Like, I don't know why you would roster Nurse in a points league, really, unless it has
Points
like really
only, yeah.
heavy. Yeah, unless it has like really heavy banger weighting. But yeah, he's been definitely a disappointment. I can understand the frustration that they must have there in Edmonton with this guy's salary and kind of just his output, right? And then on top of that, the Oilers' defensive play has been garbage early this season. So yeah, it's I could see him falling out of favor a little bit there in Edmonton, but in terms of fantasy, yeah, bangers, cats, you want to keep them. Otherwise, kick them to the curb. And then anybody else who's not in the top 6, I don't think I'm interested there. Let's move on to the next team. It's the LA Kings. So they play 2 games, and they're both on the off nights. They play Wednesday, and then they play Sunday. So it's valuable, right? I mean, you could do something like, get one of these back-to-backs Monday, Tuesday, and then stream in a Kings player. That's not a bad strategy, right? But if you're just looking at like a week-long stream, like that, I don't know. There are definitely better options. But if you're looking at dropping fringe players from the Kings, I think we're talking about kind of that third line there. So Philip Deneau, Trevor Moore, PLD, Pierre-Luc Dubois, potentially. And then, Nate, I wanted to get your take on Quentin Byfield because you absolutely called this guy kind of popping off here, getting on power play 1. And now he's producing. Like he had a good game today. But what are we doing with Byfield in this 2-game week?
Yeah, I think you're still hanging on. This is still obviously a young player. The underlying stats have gone down, actually, even while he's been producing the last little bit. So that's a bit concerning to me. Like, and when I say gone down, like they're not good. 357th in shots per 60, 272nd in individual scoring chances, 4 per 60 over his last 5 games here, despite the 4 points, and still averaging under 15 minutes here, even with the additional power play deployment that he's been getting. So I'm not saying I'm like completely attached to Byfield, but he's obviously hot right now, and he's in a good situation. He's going to get some rest. Like, I'm probably trying to keep Byfield just to see where this goes because, yeah, you do see like the highlight reel clips. You see the ability of the physical ability of the player. And you think that, if he starts to take that step even more this year and start to be a consistent force night to night, like there's definitely a ceiling for this player. And so that's exciting. And that's a reason to hang on to a player, even if they're not necessarily performing the way we want to see under the hood. But I would probably drop Byfield and probably drop Moore and Deneau, unless you're in a spot where you've got a lot of other streaming slots and you can get these guys in for the 2 off nights anyway, and that makes the most sense. I could see that for sure. And yeah, definitely what you said too. If you are gonna run out a Monday, Tuesday back to back, then you can look at LA as the Wednesday, Saturday, or Wednesday, Sunday rather,
Yeah.
streaming schedule.
Yeah, not too bad. I mean, you don't have to drop these guys, right? But I like what you said about Byfield. I do think he's a special player. Like, yeah, the metrics aren't really showing that, but I did watch the game today, and you and I were talking a little bit offline here. Like, this guy he's a puck retrieval beast. Like, his skating is insane, and he just wins puck battles on the boards, and he's a great passer. So, I've been impressed so far. I was really impressed watching him in this game today. That line looked really good. Obviously, Kempe was amazing. Did you see Kempe? There was a bit of a scrum. So like 3 defensemen were in the box. So they had Kempe drop back for defense for like 2 minutes or something like that. And he absolutely trucked a guy, like just smashed him right at the blue line. It was awesome. I love Kempe. Actually, he's one of my favorites out there because he's obviously an analytics darling, like the things that we like. But he's just a beast too. Like, he's a beastly man. Yeah. So shout out to Adrian Kempe. His name's Adrian too. That reminds me of Rocky. I don't know. That's very simple joke, but I'm a simple man. All right. Let's move on. All right. There are also 12 teams that I'm not going to mention them, but they all have 3 games played with 0 off nights. So, I mean, Yeah, you'll have to take a look at your own roster and make decisions there. But definitely Edmonton, you're getting off any fringe players there, and yeah, there'll be some other options there. Why don't we move on down to the best teams to stream for Cream? All right, the Cream team of Stream. I'm just gonna keep going until I get something that works. All right. As Nate mentioned, we're looking at the Columbus Blue Jackets this week with a perfect schedule, 4 games played, 4 off nights. And this is awesome because it's not very often that I remember in, streaming weeks where the team that has a perfect schedule also has really good streamers. Like, it reminds me of Colorado last year. They had some amazing schedules at the end of the year, and they had a lot of players that you could stream in that could actually do something, right? So, when we're looking at Columbus, like, there's some really interesting roster numbers here with their main players, like John Gaudreau, he's 57% rostered. John Gaudreau. Wow, that is wild stuff. Is that right, Nate? That's crazy.
That's correct.
Okay, so people are getting off the Gaudreau train, and rightfully so. The man stunk for the beginning here, but he's coming around. He played almost 21 minutes today. Had a breakaway, like, he did have an assist, so that's kind of good. I'm definitely interested in Gaudreau at 57%. That's a no-brainer. That's a mega buy low. This guy's, he'll probably end the season with 70 points minimum floor. Get this man on your team. That makes no sense. And then Patrick Laine is 54% rostered, but this one I'm not feeling so good about. He just, like, first off, his deployment in this game today, he only had just over 12 minutes. So that's terrible. So he's, like, his confidence is done. He's obviously pissed off at the coach. He doesn't understand why he was healthy scratched, and he doesn't look good out there. Like, he's lumbering around. There's no explosion. Like, his shots, his decision making, it all looks really off. He's just really listless. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Laine? Obviously, we're rostering him this week, but what are your thoughts on Laine moving forward here, Nate?
Yeah, basically, I'm interested in Line A for this week pretty much solely because of the schedule and obviously the past performance, right? If he does turn it around, then I hope that it's this week, and I hope I get it for 4 games, all on off nights.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely willing to take that shot on Line A this week. It may blow up in my face, but at least we have proof from yesteryear that it is possible. The talent didn't just disappear. It's somewhere in there. He just needs to get on a roll, hopefully, and hopefully that can clear it up and he can get things rolling once again. But yeah, really, like, normally we wouldn't even be talking about these guys, right? Line A and Gaudreau over 50% roster, but I have seen both of them dropped across a bunch of leagues. And so I think actually, like, they're probably available in more than half of active, like, pretty active Yahoo leagues, right? So that's why they got included here, just on the off chance that they were dropped. I do think that they make pretty decent streamers for this week, if only because of that terrific schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. I love the fact that they're out there. And then we got to talk about Boone Jenner, Papa Boone. Thank you, my 2 dads. Boone Jenner is right there. It's 51%. He had another goal today. This guy makes a difference out there. Like, because of the afternoon games, I was actually able to watch the Columbus Blue Jackets today and watch this beautiful chiseled chin of granite man with, just this beefcake skating around out there, and he looks great. This guy makes a huge difference. Obviously, if you're in a face-off league, this guy's going to crush. He was great today. Lots of deployment. I think he had 19 minutes. Go get him on your team. It's insane. He's a staple on power play 1 there. Their power play actually looked a little better because who else is there available and under 50%? Zach Werenski, 48%. Nate, what is this? What am I looking at?
Yeah, I don't know why people are off of Zach Werenski. Like, today was one of the few games in recent memory that he hasn't actually scored a point. He had the 4 assist game there earlier in the week, but I mean, even in this game, he's got 4 shots, he's got 9 attempts, he's got 4 blocks for you. Like, he's doing the thing. Like, Zach Werenski is terrific. If you look at the underlying numbers, 5th in Corsi 4 per 60 over his last 5 games here. Like, it's not a fluke either. Zach Werenski is confirmed hashtag good at hockey.
Love that. Yeah, you got to go get Zach Werenski. It's insane. This is going to be a slam dunk for your week. So yeah, Zach Werenski, and then Provorov is out there too. It's weird that he's actually fantasy relevant this year, but he's before Werenski popped off for 4 assists, Provorov was their leading defenseman scorer, or he was 1 point behind Werenski. It's one or the other, but he was right up there. So he's doing stuff. He's on power play too. He's blocking a ton of shots. He hits. So Provorov is valuable. I think should absolutely be rostered this week coming up. I think he'll be able to do something. And then Adam Fantilli. Yeah, this guy's 26% rostered, and this is another amazing streamer. Like, Nate, I'll let you get into the stats here on Adam Fantilli, but why are we so excited about this guy?
I just see the proof positive that this guy is definitely going to be a star in this league. Like, you don't run into 10-shot games the way that Fantilli had a couple games back. Like, that just doesn't happen by accident. This guy's definitely going to be a stud. There's going to be some growing pains in the game here today. He had just the one shot on 3 attempts, skated 17-13. So it's definitely probably going to be up and down. Definitely probably going to be up and down throughout. It's his rookie year, so he's still figuring it out for sure. But you see the potential there, and the just the raw ability of the player. So I think Adam Fantilli makes for a good stream this week as well. But there's one more guy that I'm really excited about too.
Oh yeah, this is Nate's Boone Jenner. All right, Nate's
Pretty
Boone Jenner
much.
is Kirill the Thrill Marchenko. And he looked awesome today too. He can hit, this guy. Actually, he's a little bit of a beefer, which doesn't really show up in the stats so much, but he just had he had kind of a rough and tumble game today. I enjoyed watching him, and yeah, he's a big difference maker out there as well. So he's only got 2 points in his last 5, but again, underlying stats looking awesome. He's got 11 points in 19 games. That's pretty nice. I mean, these type of guys are who we want from our streamers, right? These are all offensive minded guys that shoot, that get scoring chances, that have power play time, and they're all available, right? I mean, do you have anything on Marchenko you'd like to add there, Nate?
Yeah, just that he's 17th in the league in individual scoring chances, 4/60 over his last 5 games here, averaging over 18 minutes a night. He's on the top power play. On ice numbers look good. Like, it's just wheels up for Marchenko right now.
Yeah, beautiful. So those are all great options. Like, I mean, the worst one's Provorov, and even I'd roster Provorov. Like, if you're scraping the bottom of the barrel, like, yeah, I'll take Provorov, no problem. Like, he's out there playing it. I think he led the Blue Jackets in ice time today with like 26 minutes. So
yeah,
these are great options. So go get yourself some Blue Jackets. Nate and I talked about this last week, but hopefully you saved an ad maybe, or you can for Sunday. And if you can, get a Blue Jacket in now. Right.
yep.
Just like, depending on what your matchup is, like if you got it locked down or you're going to lose, go get a jacket now and set yourself up for next week. Cause you'll get all 4 games out of these beauties. All right, let's move on. There's 2 teams that play 4 games with 3 off nights, and they are the New York Rangers and the San Jose Sharks, those beauties out of San Jose. So let's talk about the Rangers first. So some of the players you're looking at there, we got to talk about Alexis Lafreniere. He's 42% rostered. So, and he has been kind of a hot item here, right? He's a staple in the top 6 there. Now he's playing with Trocheck and Panarin, which is a really nice place to be, especially with Panarin going nuclear this season. So that's excellent. But, Lafreniere, 3 goals in his last 5. The underlying stats are decent. 12 points on the season. I don't know. Where are you at with Lafreniere this year, Nate?
Yeah, he had a nice little stretch. Had a bad game today. It's not really any better way to put it. 16-37 and 0 shots, just 2 shot attempts. So I don't know if that was just a little hot streak and it's coming to an end. We definitely have not seen prolonged stretches of great play from Lafreniere at any point so far in his young career. I'm open to streaming Lafreniere just because, if all the Columbus guys are gone, then he's probably the next best guy who's going to get into those off nights for you. So I'm definitely open to it. I'm not saying don't do it, but I am not super confident, I guess I would say, in his ability to continue this last little hot stretch.
There you go. If you miss out on the Columbus players, go get yourself some Alexis Lafreniere. Okay. Yeah, he's plan B. All right. That's nice. That's on his business card. We got to talk about Keandre Miller as well. He's 46% rostered. Lafreniere too, great in category leagues, right? Although he's been a little bit down with his hits this year. He does that. He's a beefer. And beefers, speaking of segues, we're talking about Keandre Miller. And yeah, he's a super beefer with some power play 2 deployment. So Miller, he can do some stuff. So he's definitely available. I love the ice time. He's getting crazy deployment, but the points just haven't been there, especially in the last 5. but he's got 7 on the season. It's okay. He hasn't really popped. I think a lot of people expected him to sort of kind of level up offensively this year, and I didn't really expect that, but I just don't see how it's going to happen when he's behind Adam Fox in the pecking order, and then Fox goes down and they don't put Keandre Miller up there, they put Eric Gustafson up there. So yeah, I don't know. I'm not really in a category league, Miller for sure, but I don't know. I'm not that big on the player. I don't know. What about you, Nate?
Yeah, I'm not super interested in Miller. He's been cold. It's not like he's riding a hot streak or anything right now. He had some good stretches last year where I got a little bit excited about him, but this year so far it's not been great, and it's been a little better of late in the underlying stats, but still no points to show for it. I'm just not that interested in Miller overall.
Yeah, absolutely. Who I am interested in over Miller is Eric Gustafson, the aforementioned. He's getting the power play 1, so he should be the one you roster. And this guy he's out there. He's still only 36% rostered. So that power play is great, and he plays on that power play well. He's got 4 assists in his last 5 games. Adam Fox, the earliest he can return is the 29th, I think, with his IR status. And there's no guarantee that he is going to return on that time. So this could be kind of the last stand for Eric Gustafson, right? You could get one more good week out of Gustafson, and then you kick him to the curb. Because I've seen this guy dropped in a lot of spots. So go out and get yourself some Eric Gustafson for the week. If Fox comes back and you miss 2 games on Gustafson, so be it, right? But I think of those guys, I would probably take Gustafson over Lafreniere and Miller. I don't know. What about you, Nate?
Yeah, I like Gustafson. Like, even if you only get the 2 games to start the week on the Monday and the Wednesday on the off nights, they're playing Buffalo and Detroit. Like, he should run into some points there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So there you go. There are your Rangers. And let's talk about the San Jose Sharks. Do we have to? Oh, God. Yeah, we do. All right. You know what? We can't. We got to put some respect on this man's name. Although his last name rhymes with turtle, Thomas Hurdle. All right. 34% rostered. He's doing the thing, right? That's Nate's phrase, and I'm stealing it. All right. He's doing the thing. All right. Hashtag. But yeah, he's out there. He's playing a ton of minutes. He's basically in on every point that they score, right? Like
Yeah.
if San Jose is going to get goals, it's because Hurdle is doing something. So I think it's reasonable. 4 games with 3 off nights. Like, you could do a lot worse than Thomas Hurdle. So definitely go check and see if he's out there. I mean, there are some other options, but we've just talked about some amazing Columbus streamers, some good New York streamers, and now we're talking about Mario Ferraro, William Eklund, Mikhail Granlund, and Kalen Addison, who are all available on San Jose. Like really ridiculous roster numbers, like 3%, 2%, 1%, 3%. If you're in a deep league, those are good options. I like Kalen Addison. Nate has a real hate on for him, so there you go. But are you? If Let's just have some fun here, Nate. Of those 4, who are you taking? Ferraro, Eklund, Granlund, Addison. You have to pick one. Who are you picking?
It'd probably be Eklund. Had a goal and an assist in the game today, 19-19 in the game today, time on ice, averaging over 18 in his last 5 games. Like, yeah, seems to be pretty much stapled at Hurdle as well. So that gives him that little bit of floor on top of everything else.
Yeah. And honestly, San Jose, yeah, they're terrible. They're a terrible team, but they might not be the worst team that we've ever seen, like all of us thought, right? They're going to be one of the worst teams, but not the worst team, right? So there might be some options there. So I don't know, kick tires. Let's move on. We've got 4 teams that have 4 games and 2 off nights. And those teams are the Boston Bruins, the Buffalo Sabres, Colorado Avalanche, and the Washington Capitals. So we want to talk about Boston first. So you're looking at a player like Jake DeBrusk. I think he would be right up at the top there, 39%. They actually scratched James Van Riemsdyk today, and DeBrusk got some power play 1 deployment. So that was pretty nice. And he did get a goal today. So maybe he's bought himself a little bit of time there. But, DeBrusk has been a player in the past that we've liked. Hey, Nate. And I wouldn't mind seeing him kind of spend some time on power play 1 there. So definitely DeBrusk is there. And then JVR as well is 17%, but I mean, he was just a healthy scratch. So I think you're looking at DeBrusk over there. And then Charlie Coyle, what the hell? What has this man done? 5 points in 5 games. Damn. Yeah, Charlie Coyle. I saw them. First off, do you ever watch the Bruins, their commentator team? Like, I can't remember the guy's name, but they're like the 2 American guys. Oh, what are their names? Jack something and
Jack Michaels, I think.
Roto Baggins or something. I don't even know. But it is one of the worst combos I have ever seen. They're the biggest
Jack
homers
Edwards.
of all time. Yeah, Jack Edwards, buddy. Oh my god. Like that's the reason they invented a mute button. All right. Just get this man off my screen. I don't want to hear a word. But yeah, I don't even know where I was going with that. But I'm just talking some yang on that man. Let's move on. He was saying that Charlie Coyle is a player that's getting better every year in his career. So that's how I got from A to B, and then started talking yang on the commentating team on in Boston there. All right, but any players on Boston you're interested in there, Nate? Of these?
Yeah, I'm a little bit interested just with Coyle being so hot. I think he can probably do worse. The underlying stats are not great there, so I'm not excited about it, but he is on a 73-point pace for the season, so figure that one out. Jake DeBrusk, definitely a guy I've always liked. Good underlying numbers. We talked about how his on-ice stats were better than even Patrice Bergeron last year. So, yeah, had the goal tonight, 3 shots, 5 individual scoring chances, 4 skated over 18 minutes. I think he bought himself a little bit more time on the top power play, and I'm excited about that.
Absolutely. All right, moving on. We got to talk about the Sabres from Buffalo. And we're looking at the Power Glove, Owen Power. 44% rostered. He should be on a roster. He's one of the most boring fantasy players of all time. But he does just enough for you to be like, yeah, you got to roster this guy. So, and especially this week, 4 games, two off nights, I think you got to have Owen Power on your team. He's heading up power play 2 there. It's a little weird in Buffalo right now. I feel like their identity it's not the same. Obviously, when you lose your best player in Tage, yeah, I feel like they're struggling to kind of find themselves. Guys like Rasmus Dahlin aren't playing to the same level. Their goaltending has been bad. Yeah. And they're doing some weird stuff on their power play now. Speaking of the next player here, JJ Peterka, who's 21% rostered, he was taken off power play 1. So who did they put on? Oh yeah, Victor Olofsson. So yeah, Victor Olofsson mid-game goes up to power play 1. So he could be on this list as well. We don't have him here, but JJ Peterka, Victor Olofsson, Potato. I think they both be able to do something there. Middlestat is still only 17% rostered, and this I don't understand. I've rostered him in 2 spots here, and I'm actually a big fan. Look at this deployment in the last 5 games, just under 21 minutes, 4 assists in 5 games. Horrible underlying metrics, but damn, he's on the ice for 21 minutes. He's getting power play 1. He's getting top 6 deployment. I think that's a great ad for this week with 4 games. I don't know. Where are you at with Buffalo here, Nate?
Yeah, I like Peterka. The underlying stats look solid there, if not spectacular. 5 points his last 5 games. It is worrying if he gives up the top power play. Olofsson is hot too, 6 points his last 5 games, but skating just 13 minutes a night. Not super into that. Middlestat is getting power play 1 and skating a ton of minutes. He's just going to volume his way into some stats. I don't think he's a special player, but I would still roster him for the week.
Are you talking Yang on Casey Middlestat? What the?
Yeah, I don't think he's that good.
Oh, man. You know what he is good at? Winning the week-long Deathmatch. The streamer Deathmatch. Thank you, Casey Middlestat, for your service. All right. I rode that man to a victory, to a big dub. That's why Nate's a bit salty, but that's understandable. No worries there. Let's move on. We're talking about Colorado, and we got to talk about Ross Colton. Nate, what do you think about Ross Colton here as a stream?
Look, I've been wrong about players before, and I will be wrong about players again, but I'm not wrong about Ross Colton. This guy can play. He's got 5 points in his last 5 games, including 3 goals. He's doing this with under 12.5 minutes average time on ice. They got to put this guy on the top power play. They skated Val Nichushkin 27 plus minutes in this game here today, and they could not find a way to get Ross Colton on the ice. He still scored a goal, still had 3 shots. What does this guy have to do? I think Ross Colton is a stud, a fantasy stud waiting to break out. He just needs the deployment. He's in a perfect spot in Colorado. If they would ever use him, if they could ever show him the amount of love they showed to Ryan Johansson, who drags his sorry carcass up and down the ice 6 times a game. But yeah, give Ross Colton some minutes. Let us all benefit.
It makes good sense. I mean, you know what? We're still early in the season. I really do think that Ross Colton will get an opportunity at some point. There's going to be an injury. I want to see him on power play 1. Give him at the very least, give him 15 minutes a night. Why this 10 minutes? It's just what are they doing? This is a valuable player, and it's not just because of fantasy. I watched the game too. Like, he's out there. He's an energy player. He can change the momentum of a game. Like, he's an efficient shooter. He's a great skater. Oh, God. The only knock on Ross Colton. We tried to get him on Cameo, all right, and he turned us down, all right. We tried to get something for Nate's birthday, a little Ross Colton, special greeting. No, all right. Ross Colton said no, all right. So he's a bit of a ding dong, but Jimmy crack corn, and I don't care. All right, get this man on the power play. Damn it. All right, sorry about that. Let's move on. We got to talk about Bo Byram there as well. I mean, Nate, we are talking about Bo Byram every freaking week. Not like he's a must roster, must own, nothing like that. But again, he's doing just enough where you're like, you should probably have this guy on your team. I mean, he's getting much better deployment in the last 5 games, over 22 minutes, 2 assists, but I mean, pretty awful numbers, to be honest. Oh God, it feels like he's not the same player that he was last season. Like, something's a little bit off, and I'm not sure what that is, but I'm still willing to take a ride with Bo Byram. I'm rostering him in my Bangers Cats league, and I'm not going to be dropping him anytime soon. But yeah, it's been a rough go. I don't know. What have you seen from Bo Byram here?
Yeah, he definitely has not had a good season to start. Underlying numbers are down. Definitely not where we expect them to be. He is getting the deployment, so that's nice. Did have an assist today. He's still like 0 shots, 1 shot attempt. That's not what we expect from Bo Byram. Usually he's generating chances and actually generating really dangerous chances, which is what we really like about Bo Byram. Yeah, I think there are better days ahead. It's tough to roster him this week. They're probably obviously in a league where Zach Werenski is out there, you're going that direction. But definitely, if you need a defenseman who's going to get you 4 games this week, I'm still interested in Byram.
Yep, absolutely. And then Ryan Johansson, laboring up and down the ice, moved off of power play 1 there for Jonathan Drouin. Something is wrong with your career when Jonathan Drouin replaces you on power play 1. All right. Sorry, Rye-Joe. Go have a Coke and a smile. Oh, yeah. But I mean, if he's not on power play 1, that's going to be a rough hold. But I mean, 4 games, 2 off nights, if you're in a deep league, you can add him and he'll be put in a situation to do something. All right. Let's move on to Washington. That's terrible. That sounds awful for Ryan Johansson, but that's fine. Okay. Moving on to Washington, the last team with 4 games and 2 off nights. So if Tom Wilson is out there, you got to add him. I actually really like Tom Wilson. I like what he brings to the table. It doesn't always show up kind of in the statistics that we like here. He's got 1 goal in 5 games, reasonable shots, 9 points on the season. That's not blowing the doors down, but this guy's a difference maker out there. He's involved in the play every time he's out there. So yeah, I like that for sure. So definitely take a look at Wilson there. He's 46% rostered. Dylan Strome at 19%. Yeah, I don't know. Dylan Strome is there. Kuznetsov is there, 17% rostered. And with Oshie out now, there's some other players that might be able to get some run, like Connor McMichael or something like that. He's only 1% rostered. And then if you're looking at D, you could do worse than Rasmus Sandin. I mean, are you taking Rasmus Sandin or are you taking Bo Byram? Nate, where are you at with this?
Yeah, I'm probably going Sandin there, to be honest. Sandin's over 25 minutes a night. It's pretty hard to beat that kind of deployment. So I'd probably go on Sandin there. Yeah, I like Wilson. Definitely should be rostered this week if he's out there. Kuznetsov, just for the minutes that he's going to skate, most likely. On the season, averaging over 21 and a half minutes. So definitely somebody worth rostering there. And then Strome can go hot and go cold at any time. So you can hope to run into some points with him.
Yep, absolutely. So that's it for those teams. Those are the last teams there with 4 games and 2 off nights. Moving on, we've got the Ottawa Senators who play 3 games, but they have 2 off nights. So what does Ottawa play? I got to find him here. Wow, goodness gracious. What does Ottawa play, Nate? I'm looking. Oh, there we go. So they play Monday, Friday, and Saturday. So you'll get them in on the Monday, Friday. I mean, then you can move off them if you want there. But for Ottawa, you're looking at Josh Norris, 33% rostered. Joseph is there at 8%. I like Norris there. I think he's great. And if Drake Batherson's out there, I think he's only like 57% rostered. So there's a chance, a week ago, people were dropping Drake Batherson, and then he popped off today for 2 points or 2 goals, right? He's still on power play 1. So absolutely, Batherson should be rostered, and definitely for this week. So have a look there. I like Josh Norris. He's, he hasn't been crushing as of late, but that's all right. And let's move on to the last teams that we're looking at streaming here. There's 5 teams with 4 games played and 1 off night. Okay. And those are the Chicago Blackhawks, the Florida Panthers, the Nashville Predators, Tampa Bay Lightning, the Vegas Golden Knights. All right. So let's go into it. I'm going to rapid fire these ones. Chicago Blackhawks, you're looking at Lucas Reichel, 4% rostered. And how about Kevin Korchinski? Yes, sir. He got the GWG today, and I streamed him in a couple spots. I was happy with that. He's only 2% rostered, and he's cooking on power play 1. The truth is, he didn't look that great. I wasn't really he was flubbing a lot of passes, and it just wasn't it wasn't a slam dunk like he's going to stay there on power play 1. But I don't know. Then he gets the game winner, so I don't know. He might have bought himself some time there for power play 1, and I think that's a decent place to be. For Florida, I mean, OEL is out there at 48% rostered, but he his value is getting nuked. Florida ran their same power play 1 unit that they did in the playoffs there with Montour as the quarterback. So, and Verhaeghe was off power play 1 on power play 2 as well, just FYI. So yeah, OEL's, we'll see what he can do with power play 2 deployment, but I don't see why they would put him back on power play 1, although Florida did get shut out today and that power play didn't look good. So just something to keep an eye on. But I mean, I think they'll still give OEL some reasonable deployment. Sam Bennett Dyson. Sam Bennett is there at 16%. He is getting power play 1. So this man should absolutely be on your roster. 16%, much too low for Sam Bennett. He's coming back off of 2 injuries. Like, it's going to be a slow go for Sam Bennett, but 16%, no. You got to get this guy on your team, especially with a 4-game week. I like that. And then Anton Lundell, with Barkov coming back, he's kicked back down to the 3rd line. He's at 4%. He did all right in Barkov's absence there, but I don't know. Nothing special there. Anything on these teams so far, Nate? Chicago, Florida, Nashville?
Yeah, I think Bennett you want to be into, and definitely as long as he's on top power play, that's a great spot to be on the Florida top power play, regardless of what the results were for this one game here. Josh Norris had a nice night, 4 shots, 10 shot attempts in 21 minutes. So that's a little bit of an uptick in my book for Josh Norris. So if you're looking for someone who might be turning into a long-term hold, then Norris might give you a little bump there.
Yeah, love that. Let's move on. We got 3 more teams here. Nashville. Nate, what do you think about Ryan O'Reilly, the Irish master, that legendary man? I don't even know if he's Irish, but he's missing a tooth. I don't know what's going on there. 48% rostered, Ryan O'Reilly. He's been on fire. He's been on fuego. All right, he's got points in I don't even know. I gotta look over here. He's got points in the last few games here. I know he's got 3 or 4 in a row. He's stapled with Philip Forsberg there. I love that. It's been great. Power play 1, love it. So definitely get yourself some Ryan O'Reilly. The underlying stats, again, not great, but he's just out there for a lot of deployment, and he's got power play 1 as well, and they're cooking right now. Gustav Nyquist as well, 6% rostered. This was a great stream this week. I picked him up in 3 spots, and he's had points in all 3 games. At 6%, that's excellent. So I don't see if that's going anywhere anytime soon. And at only 6%, he's basically Ryan O'Reilly. You know what I mean? He's getting that's kind of same deployment, only he's 6% rostered. So this guy's out there. I think he's absolutely worth an ad. Colton Sissons at 4%? Yeah, maybe. I mean, where are you at with Colton Sissons? You like this player, Nate?
Well, he got on the top power play here in this game, and he does have points in 4 straight. So, obviously a super deep league shot, but you can probably do worse.
How about Luke Evangelista? Two goals today. Yeah, you got 2 goals and an assist. He was doing stuff. He was hashtag doing the thing, Nate. What? He's not on the list. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, I mean, he had a nice game. I'll give that to him for sure. But if you're not on the top power play, like Nashville is not going to play St. Louis every game. They're not going to score 8 goals every game. So that's a little bit of what I think there. I'm more looking at the deployment there and looking for something a little bit more sustainable.
All right. Every party has a pooper. All right. That's fine. But all right, let's move on. We got Tampa Bay is one of these teams, and the only guy you're probably really interested in there is Nick Paul at 28% rostered. That's excellent. He's still getting that power play 1. So yeah, get him in your life. I think that's reasonable. But other than that, I mean, I'm not too interested in any of the other players really on Tampa Bay. And then Vegas, you're looking at, come on, Bobby, let's go party. Bobby Chef doing it. Barbershev's at 33%. You got to get Barbie on your team. Probably not, actually. I don't know. But 33%, he's doing the thing. And then Chandler Stevenson is 31% rostered. So those are the players on Vegas you're probably looking at. Do you have anything to add on Tampa and Vegas there, Nate?
Not really. Paul is definitely somebody that you can look at. You can definitely do worse and hope that you get a couple points out of that. Chandler Stevenson, definitely a guy who seems to score points despite his best efforts not to. So he's definitely also an option if you're, if you're needing somebody to get you 2 assists next week. Chandler Stevenson's probably your guy.
Oh, that's high praise.
All right, let's roll. Let's go into the best players to stream for the week ranked. So I'm ranking these guys best for points first. I'll give you the top 10 the way I have it here. So I didn't include, Goodrow, Line, Jenner because they are over 50%. I'm going to adhere to that line. Basically every single week that I do this, I adhere to that. So I'll do that here. But that does mean that Zach Werenski does make the cut. And so he's my number one, actually. Pretty rare to have a defenseman here, but Zach Werenski should be nowhere near this line. Yep. This is a player who should be rostered in 80+% of Yahoo leagues, and he's not currently. So you can take advantage of that if he's not rostered in your league. He's my top points getter for the week. Right behind him, teammate Kirill Marchenko. Really like Marchenko, obviously. I'll wax poetic about him again, I'm sure, but I really think Marchenko is turning into quite the player for the Blue Jackets currently. Then I kind of have a tier here. I'm not really sure, honestly, how I'd order this. But I have Lafreniere, Hurdle, and Fantilli here. If you need the off night from Fantilli, then definitely go that way, I would say. If you're looking for the recent performance, you can go with Lafreniere. If you're looking for a guy who's probably going to get you 2 to 3 points across those 4 games, then you can go with Hurdle. You're just never going to be super excited about it because it's not like Hurdle's going to come out with a 6-point week next week. That's just not something that's going to happen in San Jose. So, just kind of pick your flavor there, I guess, with those guys. Then moving beyond that, I am throwing Jake DeBrusk in this just based off this one game here. I do think that he's going to get back on the top power play. He's been there before. This is not something new. If JVR is not doing it anymore, then DeBrusk makes a lot of sense as the next guy up there. And so I am definitely interested in Jake DeBrusk in that regard. Had a nice game, had the goal. I think definitely I want to be in on Jake DeBrusk if and when he's getting top power play deployment. Then behind that, I go to the 2 Buffalo guys, Middlestat and Peterka. Yeah, Middlestat, again, maybe some of the Chandler Stevenson similarities come in with Middlestat. He's definitely a guy who will get you some assists in the upcoming week. Peterka, obviously an up-and-coming player and has been pretty exciting of late, but it is a problem if he's not going to be getting that power play 1. So do check out the lines and see if he's going to be getting power play 1 before pulling the trigger there. And then I have a couple of Washington players just for that early week that we talked about where they're playing San Jose and then Los Angeles on the Monday, Wednesday. So I'm going to go with Kuznetsov and Wilson here. Both of these guys, I think, probably going to get you some points. Kuznetsov playing ridiculous minutes, as I mentioned, and then Wilson actually playing pretty well under the hood right now. So that's my top 10. Who is the most egregious miss on this list, Blake?
Oh, there's no misses. This is a great streaming week. There's maybe JJ Paterka. It's all just dependent on his power play time. But yeah, he's been great as of late. So I think he warrants a spot on this list here. But we'll see. Casey Middlestat, you got to bump him up there. What are you doing? Come on. And dude, never compare Casey Middlestat to Chandler Stevenson again, Nate. You're on notice. All right, we don't do that here. All right, come on.
I mean, Casey Middlestat would love to have a season like Chandler Stevenson just had. So,
oh God,
I think you'd be okay with that comparison. But let's continue on. Let's talk about the best players for hits. So Will Coyle from the Rangers has been hitting the lights out. Actually, definitely worth the stream if you just need the hits. Then you got Tom Wilson, Justin Danforth, the top guy from Columbus. If you need the off nights there, Beck Malenstein from Washington, and Giovanni Smith from San Jose. These are some deep cuts with some of these guys for sure. But if you are in a Bangers Cats league and you just need to shore up hits, then definitely these guys will get you that in spades. Moving over to blocks, if you need some blocks for your bangers cats, then Mario Ferraro obviously going to be at the top of this list over there in San Jose. Then Rasmus Sandin, who I mentioned, getting 25 minutes a night and throwing up crazy block numbers on top of that. Eric Goodbranson, if you need the 4 off nights from your defenseman, then Goodbranson fits that bill. And then Nick Bonino for the Rangers, doing absolutely nothing else but blocking every single shot that's attempted to be fired while he's on the ice, it seems. So he's doing that, and he does that from a forward position, so you can get some cheeky blocks from your forward position with Nick Bonino. And then Nikita, I can't pronounce his last name still, even though I mentioned it last week. Kotiuk.
Gesundheit.
I apologize, Nikita.
Yeah,
I'll try to learn it again at some point here. But yeah, hits and blocks. So he does both of those things for you a little bit if you need that. Any thoughts on the hits and blocks players here, Blake?
yeah, I got a thought. Where the hell is Jeremy Lozon? Yeah. Oh man, I streamed this guy in on my banger league. He's a legend. He's got a goal and an assist in 3 games. Who the hell called that? 12 penalty minutes. Oh, listen to these hits numbers: 5, 6, 2, 4. Oh yeah, this guy's a beefer. He's a mega beefer. Get Jeremy Lozon in your life.
Yeah, it's a good call. If you can, and it's definitely more possible with defensemen to be able to not need the off nights. So if you don't need the off nights and you're going to get all 4 games out of Lozon, then definitely he can make the list for sure. All right, best players to add for the future, guys that you might actually be able to hang on to for the rest of the season. Nick Schmaltz, Quentin Byfield still at the top of this list. Schmaltz, we know what he is. He's a stud. It makes no sense that he's only 31% rostered currently. Byfield, as I mentioned, I just think the sky's the limit for this player, and I just want to be in on that, especially while he's hot. There's just no cost in rostering him right now. And then, yeah, if the ceiling really does hit, you could be looking at a league-winning type player. So that's where I'm at with Byfield. And Tyler Bertuzzi continuing to have some strong play alongside Nylander and John Tavares. Definitely think that he's trending towards having a better season actually than I thought was possible for him. And then the 2 rookies, Logan Cooley and Adam Fantilli, I will have here. Have an honorable mention for you, Ili Tolvanen. Yeah, just been playing really solid hockey as of late, and worth mentioning. Player that I've streamed in a couple of leagues and been really happy with the results. And it does seem like, yeah, it's a player who's maybe taken a bit of a step this year under the hood. So definitely think that Tolvanen is somebody worth checking out. Then sub 20% rostered Sam Bennett, still just 16% rostered, especially if he's getting power play 1. Absolutely. That number has to come up in a big way. And then sub 10% rostered, we have Marchenko still down at 7%. Yeah, Marchenko I'd probably put above Cooley and Fantilli, maybe Bertuzzi in the overall list here. So definitely a guy that you should be pretty excited about in your leagues. Your thoughts, Blake?
Yeah, no, I love that. I love the Tolvanen ad there. It's interesting in Seattle because I streamed in Bjorkstrand too, just randomly for his 4-point game, which was really nice. And I don't know if I would throw him in the honorable mention there, Bjorkstrand, because he's getting reasonable deployment, like it's 16 to 18 minutes a night, coming off a 4-point game. I mean, they lost 5-1 tonight to the Canucks, but he did have 4 shots and a hit. So yeah, he's out there. He's doing stuff. Their power plays, they literally split them like 50-50. So there's no real advantage there to any players you're getting. But yeah, definitely Tolvanen over Bjorkstrand, but he's out there too.
All right, let's move over to the defensemen. So Werenski obviously going to top this list. And then I have Owen Power, Pavel Minchikov, Bowen Byram, Sean Walker. Owen Power just continues to play pretty solid hockey. I think it's a little bit tougher to hold him right now with Thompson out, but I still think that he's, just going to skate a ton of minutes and get in on a fair amount of points here. Minchikov has trended downwards, but still top power play, still a pretty solid defenseman, it seems so far, and seems to be acclimating to the league pretty well. Somebody that could trend up from this point, could trend downward. I say it all the time. Rookies are really unpredictable, but I'm willing to see with this player just because he's, given us some proof that he's ready to play in this league and is actually going to be a pretty solid player for a long time. Mm-hmm. Then I do have Byram here as well. Again, we've just seen it in years past, not showing it right now. Hopefully this is the week that turns around and he starts to really put together some strong weeks from here on out. And then I'm throwing Sean Walker in here. Hasn't scored a point in the last 2 games here, but before that, he had, um, yeah, just a nice little stretch, nice little 4 game run where he put up a goal and 5 assists. He's been shooting really, really well. Last 4 games here, 3-3-5-2, and got up to 24 minutes, 54 seconds in this loss to the Rangers here today. So Sean Walker, power play 2, I don't think Sanheim is completely entrenched on top power play there in Philadelphia. So that's maybe a look that could happen at some point. So Sean Walker is someone I wanted to include on this list as somebody that should be on the radar at this point. Sub 20% roster, I'm still going to have Jared Spurgeon. Hasn't been a great start for Jared Spurgeon, but I do think that better days are coming. And then sub 10% rostered, I'll throw Korchinski in there. Blake, who do you like from this list?
Yeah, I like Korchinski. I don't know why. I'm interested in that player, just kind of to see what's going on. Like one thing I did notice about watching the game today is him and Connor Bedard kind of play off each other. Like there's a little bit of chemistry there, so I'd like to see that. But yeah, all this stuff makes sense. I do like the Mintyukov, like hold Mintyukov with the power play 1. He looked good today. But yeah, he's trending downwards, unfortunately. But he's a rookie, so there's going to be ups and downs. And especially with Anaheim as well. Plus, I did want to just note Radko Gudas is rostered over Zach Werenski. 54% Radko Gudas, 49% Werenski. What are we doing here? What planet are we on? Oh my God.
All right, let's roll into the long-term plays in net. So Elvis Merzlikins going to be my top guy once again. I think Merzlikins is playing terrific hockey right now, to be honest with you. But the Blue Jackets really have problems defending. I think this might be a coaching thing. They brought in bodies that should be improving things, and it's not really happening for them. But regardless, Merzlikins continues to play well. Connor Ingram has also continued to play well. You heard, if you've listened to the latest episode that Blake did with Kevin Woodley, you heard him talk about Connor Ingram and how he's been a fan of him. And yeah, it's really shown up for Ingram this year. He's had a really solid year, 910 save percentage, despite obviously playing in Arizona, which is not the strongest team defensively across the entire league. Then Charlie Lindgren makes the list for me. Yeah, I just think that despite the 5 goals allowed to Edmonton today, that's going to happen with McDavid and Draisaitl and those guys. Still made 30 stops. I like Lindgren moving forward. We'll see if he can get some more starts with kind of into an alternating 1A, 1B situation with Darcy Kemper there. I think that's definitely within the realm of possibility, but Lindgren does have a 940 save percentage on the season in limited work, so seems to be hot at the moment. And then sub 25% roster, there's not a lot here, to be completely honest with you. I threw Joey Decord in there just because Grubauer is out, and I don't really know what that situation is going to look like at the moment. This could very well be a Chris Driedger situation. It's really more about the situation in Seattle for me than it is the particular goalie. But whoever is going to get some starts in Seattle, I'm interested in, whether it's Decord or whether it's Driedger. Like you mentioned, lost 5-1, allowed 5 goals on 27 shots tonight. So not a great outing for Decord. Maybe Driedger draws in the next game and he goes on a run. I'm not ruling that out by any stretch. So keep your eyes peeled on Seattle. I think they're still searching for who's going to be their top guy for the year. Any thoughts on the goalies, Blake?
Yeah, I throw Kochetkov in there as well. He's 37% rostered, so especially with Ranta getting pumped there, and I'm not convinced that Ranta is fully healthy. So obviously he has some injury concerns throughout his career, right? But Kochetkov, 37%, he's out there. He should get the next start, no question. And we have to just see what they'll do, right? I've got Kochetkov in a couple spots, even though it's been kind of yucky. Hasn't played very well, but yeah, definitely worth an ad.
For sure. And let's move into the final segment here, which is obviously going to be the head-to-head streamer deathmatch.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, the season record is 4-1 for Blake currently. and it's trending towards 5-1. Unfortunately, if you remember from last week, he picked Ryan O'Reilly with the first pick. I took Nazem Kadri. Both have actually had pretty solid weeks,
Yep.
but Ryan O'Reilly has had a really nice week. Has 16.5 cacuffle points through 3 games, one more left. Kadri has 9.75 through 3 games with one left as well. So we'll see, and we'll update everyone on Sunday when we do the flagship pod. But yeah, so far Blake's been kicking my butt, and that's got to change. All right, that's got to change moving forward here. So, um, yeah, realistically, I think that I got to go with my guy. I got to go back to the guy who beat me when Josh took him over, like pulled one over on me. The way that my one win of the my one win of the season was going to the Boone General against you. Then Josh took Marchenko on me. I got to go back to my guy in Kirill Marchenko. I got to
Oh
take him
my.
here. And I think he's gonna pop off. I think next week is the week that he absolutely pops off. We get it's like 5 points out of Marchenko next week.
Oh my goodness, buddy. That's a surprise, actually. I really want to take Werenski, but I don't know. I think I want to take a ride with Jake DeBrusk. I think I'm going to take some Jake DeBrusk this week. I like the strength of schedule there. They're playing a bunch of bums. They got San Jose in
Like
there. They
Columbus.
got exactly like Columbus. So yeah, it's a true head-to-head this week. So
Nice.
yeah, I like Jake DeBrusk. Let's see. Hopefully, he can hold on to that power play one deployment.
All right. Well, if you made it this far, you should definitely do the thing, like and subscribe. If you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening to this, if you can drop us a rating and review, we would really appreciate that. If you want to talk more fantasy hockey, if this is just piquing your interest and now you want to talk even more, you want to add us and say you're absolutely crazy for that take, why would you take Kirill Marchenko over Zach Werenski? Basically, it's just because I love Kirill Marchenko that much. But regardless, you can ask us all that in the Apples and Ginos Discord server. The link is in the show description. Get in there, get your biscuits in there, and ask us any questions you so please. There's also, 900 other fantasy hockey managers who would love to weigh in as well. So get yourself in there and come talk. If you need some help with your fantasy teams, you can join the Apples and Ginos Patreon. $5 a month gets you guaranteed answers to all of your fantasy hockey questions. And that's going to be it for this episode. Hopefully, it brought you some value, helped you get a little bit better at fantasy hockey today. All the advanced stats you heard today came from Natural Stat Trick, which is a terrific free resource. Many thanks to the band There for supplying the music for this podcast. Be sure to check out their Spotify as well. And that's it, folks. Much love.